Mr. Kazmark, you call the meeting to order, please?
Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for April 17th, 2014 at 8:02 p.m. On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti.
Here.
Dombrowski.
Here.
Martino.
Here.
Pettigano.
Here.
Boncino.
Here.
Catamagna.
Here.
Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless this meeting with the trustee, fatherly care, and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Law of the State of New Jersey requires the attention of every meeting a statement by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised the meeting requirements of this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack, the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was published on January 1, 2014.
Mayor, this evening, under the approval of minutes, we have the minutes from the April 3rd, 2014 regular meeting.
Motion, please.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pettigano? Or Mr. Martino, I'm sorry. Second, Mr. Pettigano. Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't there for that meeting.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Boncino.
I'll have to abstain. I was traveling that night.
Catamagna.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening we have on the adoption of the 2014 municipal budget. We will handle that vote in two parts. First will be Resolution 128-14, a resolution for the 2014 budget to be read by title only. Whereas NJSA 40A:4-8 provides that the budget be read by title only at the time of the public hearing if a resolution is passed by not less than a majority of the full governing body membership, providing that at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the budget as advertised has been posted in the municipal building, and that the public library and copies have been made available by the clerk to all persons requesting them. Whereas these conditions have been met, and now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that the budget be read in title only.
We open to the public here?
Well, we'll take a motion on this and then we'll open it to the public.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Pettigano, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Dombrowski. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So ordered.
Mayor, can we take a roll call on that?
Go ahead.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Boncino.
Yes.
Catamagna.
Yes.
Mayor, at this time we'll need a motion to open the meeting to the public on the 2014 municipal budget.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, second.
Second.
Mr. Martino, any discussion? Call the roll on opening it.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Pettigano.
Yes.
Boncino.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Motion
Is there
carries.
anyone in the public who wishes to discuss the budget?
Tom Conboy, 135 Tooele Avenue. I'm not sure if the whole budget document is contained, but if I could ask the question, under the line item, I believe it's still under recreation, can you tell me what the line item was? Someone, maybe Councilman Pettigano can, or I see the CFO is here. For park improvement, how much money was allocated into that line for parks improvements? It used to be a subcode under the recreation department, I believe.
With the recreation, we have the regular salary and wage, and then we have OE. For the park improvements, it's probably going to be a bond ordinance down the road for a capital project, which we have not discussed yet. We have not done the capital budget, which doesn't happen until sometime in June.
So there's no there's no line item in there for parks and grounds, parks improvements, around $20-some-odd thousand roughly?
Sometimes we'll take it out of the OE, Mr. Conboy. We do have the maintenance of the parks.
What's that number then? I'm sorry.
It's $27,000, which is the same as last year.
And that's for maintaining the parks, correct?
Yes.
Like it always has been, correct?
Yes.
27, okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. May I have any comment? May I have a motion on this, please?
Mayor, at this time, we'll move Resolution 129-14, a resolution adopting the 2014 municipal budget. Be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey hereby adopt the 2014 municipal budget set forth herein and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated in the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $26,137,534 for municipal services, the summary of revenues and the summary of appropriations as listed.
Motion, please.
So moved. I'll second.
Mr. Martino, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Dombrowski, any discussion? No discussion?
Discussion on the...
On the budget.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may. I'd like to commend this mayor and council on their efforts to put this budget together. And also, I'd like to commend the former council on their efforts. It does take a 2 or 3 year overlook in order to keep it balanced and fair for each year. And we have to remain cognizant of the surplus. And looking back at it, the job was well done.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Any other comments? Gentlemen, I would just like to indicate that for the last 4 years, this governing body has come in with a budget of less than 2% or around $50 a year for a $350,000 home. And this budget is predicated on what has been established over the last 4 to 5 years. And I'd like to make a prediction at this time that as long as there is not unforeseen spending going on, and we keep the budget and each department at its cap, and we don't go over it, I would predict that next year and maybe the following year we'll still be in and around the $50 area and still have some surplus. So it's a continuation of the past, and I hope that we continue it in the future. And I predict that we will be in the same area or less next year. Call the roll, please.
On roll call on adoption of the 2014 municipal budget, council members Coletti?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Pettigano?
Yes.
Bonsino?
Yes.
Catapult?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I would like to thank our auditor and our administrator who in charge of the budget, Mr. Rigatano. They did a great job, and their response this evening has been outstanding, and the way they explained it. We should have you here more often. Thank you.
Let's talk too much.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Have a nice Easter.
Mayor, this evening under ordinances, we have 2 ordinances on second reading. Resolution R-130-14, introduce ordinance 14-09 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Amend part of the Chapter 7-18 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled One-Way Streets as it relates to Gilbert Avenue. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, April 3rd, 2014, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Amend part of Chapter 7-18 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled One-Way Streets as it relates to Gilbert Avenue pass on final reading. The Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion, please. Move. Mr. Catavania, second.
Second.
Mr. Bonsino, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Mr. Martino, second.
A second.
Mr. Catamagna, any discussion? I think this is a good move. It makes one way. It's been in existence for, I guess it's about 6 months now. One way going down Gilbert Avenue from the whole length from Spidell Avenue all the way down to River Drive, excuse me. and it seems to meet the approval of the residents there. I personally handed out a note to everybody when this was first adopted, if there were any questions, and we haven't heard from anybody. So I guess it's been approved by everyone there, and I think it should be adopted. Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Pettigano?
Yes.
Monsino?
Yes.
Catamania?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, the second ordinance this evening on second reading, Resolution R-131-14, introduce ordinance 14-10 on first reading. I'm sorry, second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend, an ordinance entitled, and to establish a water department for the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the rates and prices to be charged for the use of water, and to establish rules and regulations for the distribution, supply, and use and protection of said water, and penalties for the violation of certain said rules and regulations. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, April 3rd, 2014, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend, an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to establish the water department of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, and to fix the rates and prices to be charged for the use of water and establish rules and regulations for the distribution, supply, use, and protection of said water, and penalties for the violations of certain said rules and regulations. Pass on final reading.
Gentlemen, may I have a motion open to the public?
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Dombrowski, all in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski, Mr. Pettigano. Any discussion? Ladies and gentlemen, this increases your water bill. It's a 5% increase. We have no control over that. Passaic Valley indicates that they're charging us more money for our use of their water, and we have to pay for it. Instead of waiting a year, 2 years, or 3 years, and then hitting you with a 15% increase, whatever increase they charge us, we just relegate that money right to you, and then you have to pay for it. That is out of our control. Passaic Valley Water Commission determines that indication. So we have to do what we are doing now, and we apologize for Passaic Valley, but we need the water. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Pettigano?
Yes.
Monsino?
Yes.
Catamania?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 132-14, payment of bills, Resolution 133-14, confirmation of escrow checks, Resolution 134-14, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 135-14, authorized agreement between the Bergen County Utilities Authority and the Borough of Elmwood Park, Resolution 136-14, authorized mutual aid agreement, Central Bergen Mutual Fire Aid, Resolution 137-14, refund taxpayer for overpayment due to appeal, 228 Market Street, Resolution 138-14, refund taxpayer for overpayment due to appeal, 230 Market Street, Resolution R-140-14, refund taxpayer for overpayment due to appeal at 282 East 54th Street, Resolution 139, refund taxpayer for overpayment due to appeal 280 East 54th Street, Resolution 141-14, approved length of service awards program, LOSAP for calendar year 2013, and Resolution 142-14, resolution adopting the revised personnel policies and procedures manual.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Boncino, second.
Second.
Mr. Martino, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Pettigano?
Yes.
Monsino?
Yes.
Catamania?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under departmental reports, we have the Police Department report for March, the Municipal Court report for March, and the Building Department reports for January, February, and March.
Motion to receive and file.
So move.
Mr. Coletti, second.
Second.
Mr. Dombrowski, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Council reports, Mr. Catamania?
Tonight, not much, Mayor. The only thing, I'm satisfied with the budget. We're very happy. And just wait for the Board of Education budget. The rest, I want to wish everybody buona Pasqua. Happy Easter.
Thank you. Mr. Dombrowski?
Mayor, a couple weeks ago I met with the Chamber of Commerce, and
what a very nice group of people that they are. I believe that they will continue to be moving in the right direction and to be doing some very good things for this town. I thank them for their organization. I think Mr. Wareka has done a very good job, and I think he should be noted for that. Also, on the health department, on May 6th, there will be low-cost blood testing. For the PSA for men over 40, it's $35. For a 90-day test for diabetes, it'll be $10. All of that information will be held here May 6th at the municipal building. If you have any questions, please call the health department at 201-796-1457, extension 604. And also, there will be a free rabies clinic on May 21st for the dogs and cats due this year. So that'll also be, I believe, well, call the health department because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to be, if it's going to be down at the DPW or if it's going to be at the Borough Field. So again, you could call the health department at 201-796-1457 for that. And progress. And happy Easter to everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Boncino?
Yes, Mayor. Last week, the governing body met with our acting chief, our officer in charge, Captain Foligno, and his leadership to get a sense of his take on the state of the police department, and also to talk about manpower and what his view is of what the manpower needs are for the department. He also put together a mission statement which focuses on having a proactive community-based law enforcement team where their core values are professionalism, integrity, responsiveness, sensitivity, respect for coworkers, service, and excellence. It was a very good meeting. We gave Captain Foligno the go-ahead to start the hiring process for 2 officers to replace 2 retirements that are going to occur in 2014. Yesterday, we had a significant fire at a business in town, a fire in which 5 people required rescue. So it was a good day for the volunteers in our fire department. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about volunteering in our ambulance corps. But I saw a local news story about 2 of our young fire department members involved in the rescues. One was Joel Fernandez, 22, and Tyler Lewinsky, 19. I know Tyler's in St. Leo's basketball when he was a little tyke on the court. But to quote Chief Mutel, they both did an outstanding job yesterday. I'm paraphrasing what I heard in the interview, but Joel stated, "It's a feeling like nothing else," while Tyler stated, "We did what we needed to do." I missed the last public meeting because my wife and I traveled to Alabama and then on to Wisconsin. In Alabama, we met with my younger son, who attended his first Army ball and received a promotion to platoon leader. And then we went up to Wisconsin, attended an Air Force dinner where my older son was selected as vice commander of his cadet wing. But in both stops, we had the opportunity to go out for casual meals with our sons and their cadet friends. And we watched people from the public going up and shaking their hands and thanking them for their service. And what was funny is most of the cadets said, "Why are they thanking us? We haven't done anything. We're just students." But one of the cadets said, "You know, we stood up. We're one of the 1% of this nation who are standing up to serve." So Joel and Tyler, if you see them on the street, walk up to them, shake their hand, and thank them for their service. And to all our volunteers, again, thank you for standing up to serve.
Thank you. Very well said. Mr. Martino?
Just one thing, the homeowners, April 25th is going to Mount Airy. It's $25. They give you $25 back and $10 in food, so basically they're paying you to go there. Usually it's a good trip. Usually it's a full bus for the people of the town that want to go there. And that's all I have today.
Thank you. Mr. Pedigano?
Thank you, Mayor. The DPW is out there on the street trying to clean up these potholes. You may see some that you think we're not taking care of. They keep popping up, new ones every day. It was a horrible winter as far as the roads and the salt, so we need to be a little patient with that. DPW is out there cleaning up all the parks to get it in condition for all our ball teams in town. That is also a big endeavor. He's on short notice with the winter running late, so if we can all be patient there, that would be great. As far as the recreation department, we had a bonfire tonight, very successful, very safe. Coming up this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Borough Field is the annual Easter egg hunt. Always a lot of fun to see the little kids run around looking for these eggs. And also, spring break camp starts Monday, runs until Wednesday. That is this Monday coming up. Also, summer camp registration is now open. Residents, early bird discount before April 30th is $300, and regular price for residents after that date is $325. Non-residents is $400. The camp runs from 8:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and aftercare is also available. Also, I just came from the high school where a club, the Future Alumni Club, put on a show. It was an ethnic-based show where to show the different ethnicities in the high school, because we were a very broad community here as far as Italians and Indians, and we are just a microcosm of New Jersey in Elmwood Park, I believe. So the show was very successful. They were raising money. The Alumni Club raises money to give back to the school as each class graduates. Also, I want to thank the firefighters yesterday for saving a couple lives. It was pretty tense for a few moments, people hanging out of windows, and it takes a lot of bravery for our firemen to get that adrenaline going and do what many people are afraid to do. And that is about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Coletti?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by congratulating our Little League Baseball on their opening day Saturday, April 12th ceremony. It was a beautiful day, festive mood in the air, live music, food, vendors, and our children basking in it. And what made the day so special was the merging of the two baseball leagues. It was complete. This was a time-consuming, painstaking process that only came to fruition because the leaders of both groups remained open-minded to each other's needs. Great job, guys. And to expand on what my colleagues have said about the fire on Route 46, yes, there was a working fire at the Red Carpet Inn. There were multiple acts of heroism by our fire department pulling people from the burning building. I'm sure those people were very happy about that fact, considering the alternative if they weren't rescued. And also regarding our fire department, as most of you know, there was an unfortunate accident our ladder truck was involved in. Our fire chief issued preventive steps going forward so this can't happen again. I'm sure this will be a major topic for this council at our next work meeting. And on a personal note, if there is a silver lining to all of this, it would be that we aren't going to any funeral, we aren't going to any hospital visiting any hurt people, and we shall and will learn from this and make sure it doesn't happen again. To all of you, enjoy your Easter. Mayor?
Thank you. With the consent of the council, I would like to request that our clerk, Mr. Kazmark, send another email to our two assembly people, Assemblyman Sumter and Wimbley, and ask them to vote for the 2% cap for the binding arbitration with the police department. As we've said many times, DPW is held to 2%, the white collar is held to 2%, and the police, which has a substantial budget, if they are allowed to go above 2%, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, we don't know. And that would be a major impact on our budget. So we need the help of our two assembly people. They've helped us in the past, and we hope they would help us in the future to go along with what the governor has indicated about the 2% cap to help us hold taxes down. In relation to the comments made about our fire department, I concur with all of them, so no use repeating that. But one thing I do want to remind everyone here and those who are watching on TV is the great mutual aid that takes place when there is a fire of this nature. We had fire companies coming from Paramus, we had them from Hackensack, we had them from Clifton, we had them from Garfield, obviously, and they all come in and join. And one of the things that people don't recognize is that when they're all fighting our fire, we also have fire companies from other towns such as Wallington that we're at Company 4 and some of the other fire companies. In case there's another, God forbid, fire in our community, they're covered by outside fire companies. So mutual aid, working together between neighboring towns is not new. It's existed for many, many years. And so we do have cooperation from various towns and us. We do the same thing. I was amazed at how quickly they got here. I was also amazed how quickly the police, the people involved with the state police and our local police, shut off the roads to keep Route 46 westbound, eastbound, no traffic. They also shut off the exit from the Parkway that's right behind or in front of where you're going of the fire. So it was amazing how quickly they did it. We had state trucks at all these intersections keeping people out of the area, and I want to commend all of them. They did a good job. That's what they planned for, and hope it doesn't happen again. As Winston Churchill once indicated when he planned his own funeral, he called it Operation Hope Not. And I'm sure that what we have here is that we do all the planning, fire department does all the planning, in an operation of hope not. Hope we don't need it, but if we do, it works well, and it was well designed. I'd like to also indicate that we did finally get some people from the state to put the lights on underneath the trestle out here under Route 80. We had a couple of trestles where the lights were out. They finally came in and turned those lights on. We're still waiting for them to come in and do some more patching underneath Route 80 on River Drive. I think I mentioned this at one time. The county owns River Drive. They take care of the road. But underneath the trestle of Route 80, that belongs to the state. So when you call the county and say you got potholes, then you have to call the state, and they have to come in. And we end up getting blamed, and quite frankly, we do go in and try to patch those potholes up too. But that's not our major reaction. So we do have that problem, and it gets confusing at times, and sometimes it takes a while. We are also waiting for the state. And I'm not condemning the state, I'm just telling you we're waiting for the state. If you're a commuter and you commute from Route 46 where we have the park and ride there, they're putting up a shelter, bus shelter. So that when it's rainy, windy and so forth, we're still waiting for it, but it's been approved. So I'll keep saying this until we get it put up. I hope something happens there. Our attorney, Mr. Randazzo, I'm not going to ask him for a report because I'm afraid he just came back from vacations in one of the islands, and I really don't want to hear about that. No, in seriousness, he said that he doesn't have a report since he just did come back. So may I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Boncino, second by Mr. Martino, who's very active this evening. Any discussion? Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard, please come to the microphone. Give us your name and address and your comments. If no one wants to, whoa, that got somebody up.
It's the 20-second rule.
You almost didn't make it, Rich.
Good evening. Rich DiLorenzo, 166 Hellman Drive, also Board of Recreation. Just a couple of things. Councilman Fedigan, on your report today for the rec, was kind of shocked he didn't mention anything about what had transpired in our meeting last week regarding the state of the recreation department. I thought it might be best that we would lighten the group here today for folks on TV, see if there's any change in what your plans are for the recreation board.
No, there is no change. What we discussed at that meeting was, first of all, we discussed English Ave Park. We had a few issues with that as far as logistics of the fields, timing of the installations. Then we went to, the mayor had asked me about whether or not we were going to change the rec commission to an advisory board. I stated that we are looking into changing the advisory board very seriously. This is not because the commissioners are not doing a good job. What we had stated was that we would like all the commissioners to come back because they all do good work. We are just restructuring it to where we want to exclude a few passages from the state statute. Now, we can't exclude a few statute excerpts without removing the complete statute. Now, what we want to do is give all the rec commissioners the opportunity to come back and complete their the things that they have started over the past couple years. We don't want anybody to leave. We need you guys. This is basically a managerial move as far as I'm concerned. We will take more control of the money, and we are giving our rec director more latitude as far as decisions and less people over her head, basically, to not hinder her. But I think the guidance that you have given her over the years has been very good, and I would like to see you continue to do that. And I'm sorry if anybody's taken this personally at this point. I didn't intend that. I don't intend it now.
Well, that's an interesting viewpoint, being that it's changed quite a bit from when we first started these discussions, and I've heard out of your mouth at times that the Rec Commission has been somewhat irresponsible in spending money and not taking care of parks. And so the tone of your comments right now are kind of doing a complete 180. My feeling is this is politically motivated, and you stated a good term about wanting to take control of the money. Myself and my colleagues on the board, we have no horse in this race. Now that you've mentioned money, that becomes a political venue for you. And that's not, in my opinion, in the best interest of the citizens.
I would disagree.
There's no D's or R's when it comes to the rec board. There never has, and in my tenure at least. And I know I've been going to rec board meetings for a number of years, and there have been D's and R's on that rec board appointed by this mayor, and they've done what they needed to do to serve this community. By doing what you're doing, you've now thrown politics into it, and I think that's headed down the wrong path. I, for one, also take the position that not being able to maintain these parks seriously. For instance, you appropriate this year for this budget $27,000 for maintenance for parks. Now, we have 8 parks here. Now, if my math is correct, that's less than probably $3,500 per park. Now, you state that we're irresponsible with the money. Well, to repair parks, we need to go for open space grants. We've been criticized for spending, in Mr. Dombrowski's terms, $750,000, which we all know is false. We've spent...
We corrected that. We corrected
It's publicly
that.
stated that we spent $750,000 on one particular park. Well, with a budget of $27,000 for maintenance, where do you think we have to go for the money? And we need to put up dollar for dollar. So Where's the irresponsibility in that?
This year, we're spending $200,000 on English Ave Park. Am I correct?
This year?
This coming up, this new open space is $200,000. Am I correct?
We're spending 100 out of the rec trust.
100 out of the rec trust and 100 matched.
But we're spending out of the rec trust,
Okay.
not out of the coffers
Okay.
of the
Well, no
town.
matter where it comes from, it does affect our community. Am I correct? I mean, our community is not spending that $100,000 that we're getting from the county. And $27,000 to go around for 8 parks, you're absolutely right. It's nothing. But in the past couple of years, we've spent $400,000 on 1 park. Now, if $27,000 isn't enough for 8 parks, why can't we go to other parks to spend some money? Elmwood Park needs a fence. Many of them need new equipment now. I'm sorry, but I don't feel as though the commission was guided properly at some point making these decisions on these improvements, especially without a plan. I know you keep saying you have a plan, but there's nothing written. It can't only be in your head, it has to be on paper. I've been asking for this for a year. So as far as I'm concerned, we could have taken that 100,000. You knew that the hut is a total mess. I don't know if we could have put money towards that or that area, but that needs it terribly. The marina is a real mess. Okay, hopefully next week we are talking to the Passaic Valley Water Commission about making some improvements down there. We are getting money. We don't even have to match it. I hope.
Well, I think you're missing my point. My point was that we do need to go for open space grants to get our parks to where we want them to be. And that's the way the rec board has been acting for years. And all of a sudden now it's a problem. And I think that the board did an excellent job in targeting Lynch Avenue, and I stated that at the meeting, that's a park that we need to have allocated to enhance our soccer needs, our growing soccer needs, and our growing program with DECA. And that's the park that we targeted, and I thought that the commission did a wonderful job in targeting that and appropriating that annually to do a little bit at a time as not to drain the budget. Because we do get a wish list every year on things that we need to do after the inspections are done from the parks, and so we have to wait on those. So we don't tap the trust, we overburden the trust. So things do pop up annually, which we have to correct. And where does that money come from? It's certainly not going to be rectified with $27,000. A jungle gym equipment alone, some of them cost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So again, the only way to combat that is to hit the trust and to go after open space money. That's my point.
I didn't say that we shouldn't be going after open space money.
Well, no, you said that it was irresponsible on us to put so much money into English Ave Park. How are you going to finish
I didn't
the park?
say not to go after money. I said the money should have gone
But
other
you mentioned about
places.
putting the money into different parks. You need to finish the park. It's a project that has started. You can't go taking the money that you target for one park and you want to fix the hut, you want to fix Borough Field, you want to fix this. You've got to do one thing at a time. If an emergency pops up, right now that's not an emergency. Yes, it does need to be taken care of, no doubt. But again, you can't just do everything at once.
You're absolutely right.
Okay,
That's
that was
why
my point,
that's
man.
why we
I
need a
think-
plan so that we can plan, so that we can see where we're going, not pulling things out of the hat.
We're not pulling things out of the hat,
Well,
sir.
they are if they're not on paper, if we don't see a
One
plan.
at a time, please.
Okay, if we don't see a plan, we don't know where you're going.
It was brought up at the meeting. We sat down with Boswell last year, and you were well aware of this, that we put together a proposal to get a master plan for all the parks. That doesn't come up overnight. That takes some time. And again, that was happening way before you became councilman. So, again.
How long
these
does it
things
take
are
to
gonna
get
happen. It's just that they don't happen fast enough for you. And now we have a change in engineers, so that's going to take some time in lightning.
As far as I'm concerned, you've been dragging your feet on the plan, okay?
I take offense to that, sir.
I'm sorry.
We meet once a month.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
I
sorry.
think you're out of line.
I'm not out of line. I've been asking a year for a plan, and all I get are ideas out of your head. Okay?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wish to be heard?
Miles Garvey, 98 Fensack Avenue. Good evening, gentlemen. I hadn't really planned to really speak this evening, but I did want to address two issues. First issue is I want to dovetail on the comments made by the council with regard to our first responders, our fire department, the mutual aid. My family was in the motel business and the hotel business. So I have firsthand knowledge of fires. A number of years ago in Fort Lee, we had a 50-unit motel that my family owned, and we lost over 20 rooms. And fortunately, people got out safely. But the terror, stress, and in those days there was no mutual aid. So we had to depend on one fire department to come. And if we had mutual aid, we probably could have saved a lot more of our property. And, we were out of business for quite a while, between insurance adjustments and getting repairs and getting back up and running. We were also in the hotel business down in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, at a 42-room hotel, lobby, and restaurant. And again, we had a fire. And fortunately, the volunteers again came out and did what volunteers do. And I don't think people appreciate that enough and really understand how important these people are. So, not to sound repetitive, but I don't think it could ever be repetitive in thanking those people. And not to mention they came to my house Thanksgiving evening 2 years ago, when unfortunately I had a fire. And I did not have that much damage, about $20,000 worth, but they were prompt, Johnny on the spot, professional, and they have my deepest gratitude and thanks for what they do to protect this community. On a second note, I do want to take issue with Councilman Pettigano's comments, because everything he's saying tonight is in direct contradiction of what he said in his letter during the campaign this past year. And first of all, using council letterhead was improper to use in a campaign. And the comments he made in that letter, and he knows what he wrote in that letter, are in contradiction to what he's saying about, the Board of Rep tonight, saying he appreciates the work they do in this and that. Well, that letter was nothing but critical, and it was offensive. I sat at a meeting, a work session meeting. Mr. Pettigano said that people on the Board of Rep were using it for their own interests. Well, I'm on the Board of Rep. What interests? My children are all out of school, none of them belong to the rec. I don't use the rec. I'm not a coach. All I do is sponsor teams. I sponsor a team at the rec. I sponsor a basketball team. I sponsor a soccer team. I sponsor in Little League. But I don't have any direct relationship to any of the programs there. So I don't know what that meant, and I felt that was very offensive. It was unsubstantiated. And I don't think before any councilman, Republican or Democrat, makes a statement that they can't back up, I think they need to apologize publicly. Mr. Pettigano has refused to do that. I have not heard it. I have not heard him apologize for offending the people on the board with his comments. He also claimed that we had this secret meeting with the Republicans to come up with a quick plan. That was also in his letter, which I found offensive. No such meeting was ever called, discussed, or spoken about. Mr. Pettigano has gone to great lengths to politicize this board. Has it always been constructed with both Dems and Republicans on it? It's never been politicized. Now, there are 70 communities in Bergen County. We are one of the few where the Board of Rec runs in the black. We don't discriminate against anybody in this community. At the marina, we had the new swings put in. At the rec center, we had it painted. We had a new floor put in. We put a gym that only 15, 16 people were using. We got new equipment in the gym. Now we got over 100 members using it. Majority of them, senior citizens. We have programs for our children. We have architects, certified architectural plans to redo the hut so that we can use it as meeting rooms. Because the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts come to us. We don't have enough space. We would like to move our summer camp program and be able to use it in one location, having to not put kids on buses and bus them to the schools for time and for safety. We have bought a sled for the Bombers football. We're in the process of helping erect a scoreboard for soccer. We have done a lot of things. This is just touching just a bit. And guess what? Not a penny out of the property tax. It came out of trust. It came out of matching funds. And it came out of being frugal. And we ask for second prices. We're constantly grinding and drilling down to get the best price and get most for our money because we're looking out for the taxpayers in this community. And it's offensive when somebody comes here and says, oh, you don't like the way you're spending our money. Well, this is from somebody who's only attended 2 meetings in the last 10 years. Maybe 3. No, I'm trying to remember. You made your comments, you wrote your letter, you never even had a meeting. You said we didn't have a plan at the last work session. You said you didn't have a plan. The plan was hastily done. And yet I sat there with a plan in my hand dated August 2013. You just bothered to look at it.
Plan for all the parks?
No, the plan we were talking about for English Avenue. You said that it was English Avenue was put together.
I didn't say that.
If you want, I will get the minutes of that meeting. I will get the tape, though. And you will hear it. Maybe you should play it back, sir.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm not done,
Please,
sir.
one at a
I didn't ask
time.
the question.
These are all the same questions you asked a few
They're not
weeks
questions,
ago.
they're statements of fact.
And statements of your facts.
Sure. The next time I'll bring your letter. How's about that?
How's it?
Would
That's
you like me to
fine.
do that?
You can do that. That's fine, sir.
That's fine.
Yes.
So what's the truth? What you wrote in the letter or what you said tonight?
Well, things morph into different thoughts as we go into this. I realize some things, yes, that you guys have done that has been very, very good. That does not change my opinion on going from a commission to an advisory board. You can still do all those same things you want to do, all the same things that you have done wonderfully for this community. You can go forward and continue to do that. Okay? You're taking it very personal that I want to change your commission. And I'm very sorry about that.
Councilman, you're not qualified. You haven't been to enough meetings to understand how the Board of Recreation functions to go change something. You really aren't. I don't mean to offend you. If you had come, like some people come meeting after meeting, and they get a feel for it, they get an idea for it. Somebody runs for council. You go to meetings, you learn what it's about.
Well, I take offense.
In there, and you show up.
I take offense.
You're an expert.
I take offense to you saying to me that I have no clue.
I didn't say you had no clue. I said you're not qualified.
Okay. Same.
Right.
I think it's the same.
Even as a councilman, I have my question about some of the things that you've done at the council here. You know, as president of a particular association, you're not really, it's not really kind of unethical to be espousing their programs and asking people as you have done in the past. I won't go into detail on that, but you've done that, and that's unethical. It's an ethics issue. But then again, it's an ethics issue that you did with your letterhead, and you know that. Right? You know that's correct, right?
Did you hear me apologize about 3 times?
Publicly?
Yes.
At this public meeting?
Yes.
Or in the...
At this public meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
3 times.
And you did not apologize to the rec members for what you said in that letter?
No, I didn't, because I was pretty furious back then.
Yeah, you're pretty furious.
Yes, I was.
You're pretty furious.
Yes.
Gentlemen, one at a time, please. One at a time.
You understood that. You made accusations that we weren't policing the park, and then you came to our meeting and you said you understand that we couldn't police the park. Mr. Pettigano,
Well, I understand
you're
that.
unqualified.
Thank you very much, Miles.
Anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Conboy, you're going to have 5 minutes. If we go beyond that, we will call a recess until he changes the tape.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tom Conboy, 135 Toronto Avenue. A couple of quick comments first. I too would like to just echo a couple of things. You know, when you sit there on the council for whether it's 3 years, 6 years, or 40 some odd years, you know, you as a councilman, you know, you always look at the agenda and you have to look at the body to see if there's going to be a closed session. And you always hope it's going to be quick and it can involve a lot of things. So just based on some current events the last couple of days here in our town, I think it's, as you all have echoed as well in your words in certain ways, you know, we have excellent departments in this town, excellent volunteers who do excellent work. We're all human beings and we all make mistakes. I probably made one 6 years ago when I served. No, I'm only kidding. I enjoyed those 6 years until my forced retirement. But what's important to say about this in particular is, you know, no department is immune from making a mistake and doing things, and hopefully we all learn and move on from that. I know as a resident of this community, and not a lifer, but I've been here now 23 years. It's a great community, and I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. And I'm glad my wife talked me into staying here when we were looking to buy houses. She wanted to stay here, and we did. And I have 2 great kids from this community and so forth. So I hope they can grow up to be great volunteers like everyone else here.
Mr. Conboy, you're using your 5 minutes.
Well, I'm going to make it go to a recess. I need to drink a water or something else to drink. Easter drinks on me. No pizza can this year, guys. Sorry. Laura says I don't serve, you get no pie. Sorry, Frank. She made a low salt one too. Sorry. You know, last week I sat in that meeting. I haven't come to many except for the first one. I wanted to try out my new iPad since I had to buy one. So, but I was really disappointed. You know, you had an agenda for a meeting, which turned out to be more of a, now let's pick them apart. And you pick the board apart one by one with all of your silly questions. And what I mean by silly is we have an unbelievable department head who could give you any numbers out of her head at any moment that you needed. You know, you got so petty, you started asking numbers of how many are in soccer, and how many are in this, and how many are in that, and how many are in this. There was so much micromanaging going on in that room that night. All of you should just be on the rec commission and just dismiss all these folks, because that's what you wanted to know. And it's kind of sad. It kind of segues into what Mr. Garvey said. You don't have a clue. You don't know what's going on down there because you only come to a meeting now and then. And I don't say it to be offensive. I was going to rec meetings for over 10 years. I may have missed a few here or there, but I was there. And I asked, even when I wasn't serving. And Joe, I mean, no offense to you directly. When you were no longer involved with the baseball, we didn't see you, but you used to come, you used to be there, so I want to give you some credit when you were involved there. Mr. Martino, I served 6 years. Never saw you there. Mr. Pettigano, never saw you there. Bob, you came to a few. Lou, I've seen you too. That's right. Okay. Mayor, I think you came to about 3 of them. And Frank, I saw you at the first one. Yeah, but I know you were there.
Mr. Conboy, I'm going to call for a recess at this time till the videographer changes the disc or the tape, whatever he's using.
You know, we ended with asking, you know, my comments on how many meetings you attended. I really don't mean to say that to you, believe it or not, to necessarily pick on you. In my last couple of years, I never went to a Board of Health meeting because we had a capable liaison, right? Mr. Pettigano, you were Board of Health last year, correct? If I ever had any questions, I would ask it at our work meeting, correct? And if I did ever have any, you always had the answers. So I bring out about how many meetings you attend because everyone attends because so much goes on at these meetings. And so many comments now get made. You know, I sat here tonight, Councilman Pettigano. You mentioned that, yes, you were angry when you wrote a letter, regardless if it was on letterhead or not. You wrote something to the residents of a certain part of our community, and you sit here tonight and say, yes, you said something in anger, you were frustrated, you were angry, you said things, you wrote things. Well, I get frustrated and angry too, but I also know some legal ramifications of my inaccurate words or statements and so forth. And everybody here knows I get heated, I get passionate, and a lot of things, I won't lie, I get a case of diarrhea of the mouth, just like anybody else, but with passion, at least with passion. It's different when you get it with hate, but with passion. And I just have to sit there and listen to you say it. I'm saying to myself, but you did anyway. You sent that stuff out. That gave people of that neighborhood a wrong impression. And some of the things you're saying now, even some of the other members maybe, what you're saying about this fantastic board is wrong and it's unfair. When I first took office, the prior majority took off a very important person on that rec board. That person was a Democrat. They took her off. Who in this town doesn't love Vi Sharma? Right? Bob, you love to talk about history and about people, and Joe likes to say, if this guy was still alive, he's got to be turning over in his grave now, you know, all these historian people that have been part of this community. What's more of another wonderful fixture than Ms. Sharma, all her dedication to the community? We put her back on. Republicans put her back on. You know, so it was never about D's and R's, it was about the best people. You also mentioned tonight a comment about giving the department head more flexibility and more ability to do everything. Do you know who sets the agenda for the rec meetings?
The director.
The director. Because their title is director, to direct. Our department head does that at every meeting. So when you say misdirection or hampering, it's that department's wish list of things that that department head wants to achieve at that meeting. And along the way, you have all these qualified people from whether business world, this world, that world, or maybe we're involved in the sport organizations at one time or currently, they're basically your boots on the ground. They're out there talking to the parents every day. All the children who come to the various different programs, because they know little Johnny and little Susie. Because they see them everywhere, every rec program or summer camp or something else. So when you say that some of the things were not done, or the department head was hampered, or and so forth, that rec commission for 6 years did nothing but try to honor every one of her wishes down there. So when you say what parks get targeted, that's based on her recommendations, on that department head's recommendations, that this would like to see. Of course, there's input from them too. You may get a commission say, well, you know, I was over at this park. I noticed this. Or can we fix the backstop here? Or can we do this there? You know, so yeah, there is, and then you have to pick and choose. And then you have to plan. And that's what they've been working on. You know, I mentioned before I became a councilman, sometimes there was never any rec meeting. If they knew certain people were coming, or if they just wanted to get something through and not let anybody know about it until it was done after, all of a sudden, oh, sorry, we don't have a quorum. And then at 9 o'clock, we have a quorum, and everybody would go home. We used to stick around because we knew better. And then they would have a meeting. They would call a meeting at 9 o'clock at night in the rec office. Today, you can go to a rec meeting, and right on time, right on cue, unless there's some of the people are running late, but pretty much always starts on time, and you have an open voice. That's a great rec committee. Those are some of the just changes that have nothing to do with a park or rec that they've made along the way. You know, you talk about, I feel bad for the people of Cherry Hill. I was reading the Shopper article written by our great reporter who covers our town. No mention of Cherry Hill. I'd like to see money get diverted to Borough Field and to fix the hut. All of a sudden, the crime go away in Cherry Hill that you had in your letter? Is Cherry Hill no longer worthy? I thought I heard back at a January meeting that a councilman even said, well, maybe we should just sell those lots off and let homes get built there. And at the very first rec meeting, I give you credit. You're a little flip-flopping. You yourself said, as Mr. DiLorenzo pointed out, or Mr. Garvey, you said it is a difficult park to police. Amazing what a few months after an election will do. What insight all of a sudden. Just to name a few things, I want to go over this list. This was a target list. Marina got new swings. Borough Field got new sprinklers my first year term. Everybody knew at one time under Rich DeMoro, Borough Field even got closed down, if you all remember. It was all right after summer. Football, nobody could go on it. He deemed it unplayable. It was a dust bowl. We put in sprinklers. And because the board shopped around with the rec director, we got the best price we could, the lowest bid, by a good contractor, which is unusual. New lighting at Major League Field, that happened on our watch. Sun shelters, 2 at Borough Field, 2, brand new. Parking lot at Gall Ave to get cars off the street where the little kids play t-ball. And we all know they all park along the side. It's not big, it fits about maybe 8 spots, but it's 8 less cars that the kids have to run to. Again, an area of the park that was not being used, just collected leaves every year, it got to good use. We purchased a rec bus after the issues that happened, unfortunately, with the school that forced us to have to get a rec bus. All came out of the trust. Spray ground got resurfaced, not once, twice. Because working with the director, this rec commission went after the manufacturer. Now, as the mayor has mentioned before, it's now a centerpiece. Since that floor got redone and the way it looks and how beautiful it looks, towns are actually calling his office, who did it? That's your rec commission. Irresponsible. Borough Field got a new playground and a new surface bottom. That's up to state code. Birchwood got new playground equipment and sun shelter. And new picnic tables, which have been stolen twice and brought back. The rec gym floor, come on, you can't say it doesn't look great. All recommendations from the rec director, all worked out. And because these folks are in the trenches of the business world every day, working with our rec director, went back, and if this is what you call hampering, went back and even got the guy to drop the price even more and come back and fix things that he should have fixed the first time and many things like that. They remodeled the bathrooms at the rec. All the rooms got painted. The kitchen, as you all know, we worked it out with the county. The kitchen is going to get remodeled. It's in the process or is almost finished. We resurfaced the basketball court at Borough Field. Rosemont Park, there was changes made there. Again, a lot of vandalism happens in that park. Scott Cars can tell you from DPW, no matter how much we chain up the garbage cans, the kids just twist it, break the lock, and then they go and break the backboards. Over at Garden Drive, that little pocket park that everyone seems to think belongs to that area, that's a rec park. We maintain that as well. You mentioned about the hut. You have a board of rec, and if I'm not mistaken, I know Mr. Kazmark will know this. The last couple of months when we talked about the state statute, if I'm not mistaken, we still haven't even changed our old ordinance to incorporate even the state statute. Right, Keith? Am I right about that?
I believe they're still contrary in certain areas.
Excuse me?
I still believe that certain areas of the ordinance are not in concert with
We
statute.
still have old and the state statute, correct? So that even, the state statute is not even being fully implemented at its current state. Yes, it does state that they have full authority, but we haven't implemented that part. You were with me all year on council. You should know that. We didn't even get that far in it. But those are the guidelines that are in under that. I'm sorry. So with the HUD, there is a plan. It's sitting right over here. You heard that last week. It's been sitting there. There was some issues, I guess, with the way it went out for bid and so forth. But as you heard Mr. DiLorenzo say last week, we already had dumpsters ordered. Everything was ready to go to have that place gutted and ready for this summer camp and for anybody else who wanted to use it. And this board, this recreation board, still works with this mayor and council, hand in hand. They don't go out and hire an attorney. They have the will to go do that. They don't. They rely on our borough attorney, saving money. Whoever the borough engineer is, doesn't matter if it's Boswell or Martino Associates, if he owns an engineering firm, they work with our borough engineer to try to save money. Although it says they can go out and hire an engineer. They can go out and hire an attorney tomorrow to fight you guys. I don't think they'll do that. The last time we talked to a board about working with us for the taxpayers, they went out and hired an attorney to fight us. They went out and hired their own engineer and their own plans, which still doesn't have a plan. This board is moving in the right direction. These people, not just the ones that sit on it now, but all the ones that have sat on it for over the last 6+ years. Cherry Hill, they did a big cleanup there twice. And it needs work. It's scheduled. I hope it still gets the new playground equipment it was supposed to get this year, which was targeted. Again, recommendations from the director to get done. And when I told you that at the meeting, that was the next part to get done. As a matter of fact, When the new guy came, I think it's called Playtime, if I'm not mistaken, is the company we buy the equipment from. That's a state-certified playground equipment company. The mayor happened to stop by while the director and the gentleman was at Cherry Hill Park measuring out what the new playground equipment should look like. But like you said, it's a tough park to police, so maybe we should hold that off until we can get a handle on that. English Avenue, yes, there's been a lot of effort put into it because it is a sleeping giant and a gem for this town. Work has been put into it, a very strategic plan. And it went little to get to the next piece of the pie. The increase had to come along with the open space. First, we did the fence to eliminate kids, and it's a high fence too, so keep the kids away from the track. Then we did another little piece, and Mr. Dombrowski, Councilman Dombrowski mentioned there's not enough parking. I don't know what plan you have, but the plan that I know Mr. Garvey has shows clearing out of some of that property, putting up in a big, huge environment, nice, big, huge trees for the neighbors, clean up, get all the garbage out of there, and put in parking along that side. Because the plan you guys had on your desk does not match this one. You guys should get those two plans together. And everything else that happened at English Avenue. It just really bothers me, and I appreciate everyone for allowing me to continue the way it just gets picked upon and everything else. And not just from that, the HUD plan, as I mentioned, is done. The other plan you keep referring to, this commission, and I can't blame them. In January, they asked very nicely. I believe now you've been 3 months at the meetings. I think you've been to 2 out of 3 with Councilman Dombrowski. They've yet to vote on the proposal from Boswell, who said it would take a couple of months to put together. Because for the folks listening and that are here, this is a big, huge master plan. It shows every commissioner asked Boswell at the time to put together what every park could be. So you want to look at Elmwood Park Drive? You want more courts? This is what it would look like. You want handball courts? Walls? It would look like this. You want a tennis court? It would look like this. And you just pull back the piece of plastic that shows every piece coming and going like a flip book. They have to vote on it. Boswell gave them a proposal in December. They get to vote on it because, again, they don't know where they're going. And what really gets me in the end, I guess, and I'll wrap up here, is this board has always worked with the mayor and council. I feel it's unfair that they're getting picked on like this. And you say it's not political. I have to differ with you in that regard, because it certainly is, certainly seems that way. And they've not only tried to help enhance what's happening in the recreation area for all of our children, they've helped other organizations, like, for example, as Mr. Garvey mentioned, the Bombers, when they needed a new sled, nobody wanted to give it to them. Not the school, not anybody else. They couldn't afford it themselves. The rec bought them a new sled. A couple of years back, I've been going back a little bit, might have been 7 years ago, they got new helmets. Now, they used to get a stipend. That year, the rec board voted to increase that stipend for the Bombers only, because I believe the helmets were about $180 or $160. That's a big expense for the kids. So the rec board helped out with that. I keep I'm not bringing up the Bombers only because every time we have this conversation about the rec, the Bombers get brought right into it. Last year, working through, and even though I was advised by the superintendent and by the AD not to talk to anybody else but them, because they run the Bomber program. The Bomber program is part of the school. Last year, working with members of the board, mostly I got to take the credit because it was the commissioners and Ms. Pugliese, the director, and some of the members. We got some field time for them back on Borough Field because they were told if you want to have night practice, you're going to have to go rent your own lights. That came from the school district. The Bombers said they couldn't afford it. So the rec tried to help do the right thing and get them back onto the field. That's all working together, guys. That's all working together. And the other thing I want to say, and the last thing, I promise, besides Happy Easter to all of you, is several years back, without any permission from the rec board, the mayor and council, the governing body, over a 2-year period, did the right thing. The rec trust had a good surplus. They took out $500,000. You guys should know this. You requested all the records to give back to the taxpayers. To the taxpayers. A lot of those taxpayers don't even Don't what the inside of the color of the rec is. Everyone benefited from that. It was the right call to make. And, I guess you might say, an eye for an eye or whatever. Isn't anyone upset with the way the library looks? They got over $1 million of everyone's taxpayers' money. The rec trust comes from their revenue they make on their own. They got our money. When we asked, could we just have a couple $100,000 just to help bring down taxes more? Your interest will build it right back up. And you're always going to get an increase every year based on the state statute. That's when they hire an attorney. Why isn't that board being dragged in? When we asked them in for a meeting, all they did was accuse us of not having library cards. And they still don't have a plan. They still don't have a plan. You keep talking plans. I'm not talking about what happens inside the library. It's a wonderful building. And it's got wonderful people, and wonderful things happen. You drive down, it almost looks like a dead-end street. Joe, I don't think you'll disagree with me. It don't even say what it is. The letters have all fallen off. Frank shaking his head, yes. It almost resembles a dead end. What's happening down there? That's what kills me. You drag in the rec board, you micromanage, you insulted all of them, and then you tell them they're doing a great job, but we don't have any input. And everything I mentioned here tonight, you talk about hindrance and this and that and everything else, it all starts with the leadership, and they all take her direction. So I don't know what you're being told, but I know that's how it all worked. Thank you for letting me speak on and carry on, and everyone be well, and happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dan Dolbeck, Board for Godwin Ave. After the preliminary budget of the Board of Education was adopted, an ad hoc committee was created, budget committee, of which I am chair. So with that being said, I'd just like to inform the mayor and council, as well as the viewers at home, the taxpayers and the public, that the Board of Education will be having a public hearing on the current proposal, the 2014-15 budget, on Tuesday, April 29th at 8 p.m. in the auditorium of the high school. This is the community's and governing body's chance to be heard on the proposed budget. In addition, a user-friendly synopsis and a way to share your thoughts via email will be on the district website shortly, elmwoodparkschools.org. The public's participation and feedback is an integral and valuable part of the budget adoption process, and I invite the community to participate. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak?
Good evening. Will Manili, 221 Washington Ave. As far as the rec board goes, as a coach, a volunteer, and a parent, my only concern would be, well, a couple of concerns, but it seems to me that if you go from a rec board to an advisory board, if they still meet once a month, would they then have to report back to the council before they can go ahead and move forward with any progression of any projects?
If they become an advisory board?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that, and, when we're talking about, not getting things fast enough, or things moving fast enough, it seems to me that that would only slow down any project that's on the table to be
It would
done.
actually go through the rec director first,
Okay.
and then she would present it to us, but she would have some levity as far as spending, okay?
But it still
up to a
would still
certain
be a
point.
longer process, correct?
No, probably not.
Okay. I don't see how it isn't if it has to go through another chain of command. But anyway, before that final decision is made, I just have to say, again, as a coach, a volunteer, and a parent, these guys have done an outstanding job. A lot of people don't understand the behind-the-scenes hours that go through to put all this together. I know some of you have coached Councilman Martino and Councilman Dombrowski, and I'm sure everybody's done something in now and then. But at the end of the day, it's for the kids. It's not about politics or anything else. And, good luck to you if you decide to do that, because I can promise you that every coach, every parent, every resident will be watching you 10 times as close as you've been watching them. So, Got big shoes to fill.
Thank you.
All right, happy Easter, everybody.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Good evening. Good evening. Stacy and Timothy McCarrier, 149 Stefanik Ave. Sorry. Stacy and Tim McCarrier, 149 Stefanik Ave. We live on the dead end of Minor Street in Stefanik, and we've been trying to contact the DPW for over a year about fixing the street.
The dirt road.
It's a dirt road.
It's a dirt road. It's got dips and potholes, and you got a raised manhole. I have a disabled child, and it's pretty bad to the point where he has trouble walking, and it's a tripping hazard. And I called DPW, let's see, midsummer of last year, and they keep giving me the runaround saying that it's on the patch list, and nothing's been done since last summer. I mean, how hard is it to fill a couple holes with dirt?
Through you, Mayor, first thing Monday morning, I'll go out with Scott Cards.
I have pictures of him right now.
He brought pictures if you'd like to have them.
We can look at them, but I'll personally go out with Scott first thing Monday morning, and we'll take a look at it and see what changes we can make.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. I just have a couple comments on what's been said tonight. It's almost like the work meeting of last week. I don't know what we solved here. We had a tentative motion last week to do away with the commission and go to a committee. Now I hear everybody's doing a great job and they're all going to be reappointed. That's not what I heard months ago, that there were some people that were planned to be taken off. I heard the marina's a mess. People love it down there. They go fishing, they hang out. I don't know what else we can do with the marina that's substantial. I'd like to see it improved. But the person coming in next week is just coming in to see me, as far as I know, simply to tell us that they want to put a boat dock in there so that we can have boats going into the marina, into the river. And it doesn't talk about a trail. I don't know why they called the group coming in Passaic River Trail Committee. No trail. And the problem we've had over the years with the marina, and it's really not a mess, is every time we get a flood, it floods. So no matter what you put there, except for those swings, it washes away. So I think calling it a mess, and why would people go down there, I think the people who go down there enjoy it. They sit down there, they fish down there, and if we can improve it in some way, I'm in favor of it, as long as it's not going to wash away. We don't have a plan for the parks. We're going to have an advisory committee, and I want to see what the proposal is for the committee. If everything that happens down at the rec center has to come back here to be approved and go back a month, that's 2 months. And we're going to be getting more and more people here. I'm pleased to hear that the rec commissioners are doing a good job. If they're doing a good job, when are we going to take them off? So I get confused. We talk about it, and then we praise, and then we criticize, and then we praise, and then we criticize. I don't know. I think this is a major issue that must be confronted with. I think it's an issue that has to be done smartly, logically, and before we start complaining about the people who are on the various boards, let's ask them more questions and what they can do about it. I just want to conclude that the library board, quite frankly, has been cut $70,000 in their budget. They have the only budget in town that has been cut in the last 2 years. So I don't know. We heard a lot today about where we're going. I still don't know. Give us a proposal. Let us talk about it. Put the people that are on the board back on the board again. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. I hate to use a trite statement, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. Talk to them. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Excuse me, Mayor. May I say something, please?
Sure.
Mayor, first off, the board has not been removed. They're currently acting as a board and will continue to act as a board until we do have the plan and bring it to them.
That's correct.
We do plan on bringing a plan to them. We're working on that plan as we speak. But
Who's working on the plan?
some of the council members were working on that plan.
Oh, some of the council members, okay.
Yes, sir.
Not all the council members?
Enough of us.
Okay.
The one thing that I heard today...
Excuse me. I just hope they're not four of you at one time. That's illegal.
Of course.
Okay.
I said some of us. I didn't say four of us.
That's right.
Okay. I heard a lot of attitude today. It came across loud and clear. And, you know, the attitude was shown last week when, after the vote and the members walked out. Then you see some attitude coming up here. I want to make it clear that as I was a person wanting to be on the council to being councilman-elect, I've heard numerous people come up to the podium or sit on this dais and say, we have a master plan. It was to my dismay that last Thursday we found out that there's no master plan. So here we are going and piecemealing a park, and we've spent over $470,000 on a park over the last few years, and it still isn't being used. And when I said $750,000, we still have $200,000 to go that we're getting, 100 from the trust, 100 from open space, and another 160, which, if you add that up, it's over $750,000. That's where I came up with my number. Okay? So understand this. We're going to be putting $750,000 into a park, and right now it's not even being used. Okay? I asked at that meeting, I asked if you can have everything that you wanted, when will this park be done? We didn't get an answer. We didn't get an answer. That's a shame. And for them to come up here and say that we have a councilman that's unqualified, poor attitude, and it's a shame that it's coming down to this. So all I could say, Mr. Mayor, is we will be giving them a plan. We will sit down with them, discuss with them what we would like to do with going forward, and then the decision will be theirs. Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words, Mayor, because I don't want to get too excited about this. I'd like to say that we all come here to discuss, to ask questions, to see where we stand on this. What I don't like is when the people come here and insult a councilman. We all are elected by the people here. People trust us, and we do the best job as we can. We come here and be insulted by Mr. Garvey, tell Mr. Perigano you're not qualified. I mean, who made him the judge to say that? First of all, you should not say that at all. That's insulting somebody in public. That's a shame. And also, Mr. De Lorenzo came a few times in the past, tell me that I didn't care about the kids because I don't want to waste more money on English Ave. Yes, I did vote for the grant, but also I went against to spend more money on English Ave. And he told me that I don't care about kids. I'm the first one, guys, maybe you don't remember, to organize the Saga program in Elmo Park. Is very popular. I have all the sponsors. I sponsor teams myself. The program is so popular now, thanks to me. I try very hard. Those days, people didn't talk about soccer. The only thing concerned was football and baseball, nothing else. And then I've been a teacher for 26 years altogether, and I don't care about the kids. You know, I don't want to respond, but I should refrain yourself and make an accusation like that. It's a shame they talk to us. We are all try very hard to work together. Yeah, they maybe talk about changing the boards, but we didn't say we dismiss anyone. We want to work with you guys. Last week, you walked out of here. I asked the mayor to give us 2 weeks to talk about this, to study this before we change, we do anything else. Now the mayor forced us to vote. It really forced us. You got to vote now. Give us a chance to talk about. He's the one who made us vote for that. And you guys should not walk away the way he did. And also the mayor sounds like a different song tonight. In the past, he was like about, maybe a good idea to change the board. Now he sounds, you talk about politics. Come on, give me a break. That's a guy who was also a little bit negative about you guys. I don't say totally negative. Nobody's totally negative. but now he wants to sound like he's the hero. He's defending you. I'm sorry, guys, I can't say, we have to be truthful. Forget about politics. Let's be honest. Let's be careful the way you, don't come here and insult us. That's terrible. Okay? These are the words you can use. Your vocabulary is much bigger than mine, and I'm sure you know other words, better words to use. Happy Easter, you know. Thank you.
Any other comments? I think it's very interesting that we have people that are being criticized for being on the Board of Rec and the statements they're making, and then we heard that we're going to reappoint you anyway. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So
Moved by Mr. Martino, second by Mr. Kiletti. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. All you.